Hi, I'm Connor, and today I'm going to talk about something very important for learning English. What are B1, B2, and C1 levels? These levels are used to measure how much English you know and how well you can use it. If you're learning English, understanding these levels can help you see how far you've come and where you need to go next. These levels are part of something called the Common European Framework of Reference, or CEFR. That might sound complicated, but don't worry. It's just a system that helps everyone know where they are in their language learning journey, from beginners to advanced speakers. The CEFR is used all over the world to describe how good someone is at a language. So why should you care about these levels? Well, they are like checkpoints on your way to fluency. When you know what level you're at, you can focus on improving in the areas that need work. Plus, if you're studying English for a job, school, or just to communicate better, knowing your level can help you plan what to learn next. The three levels we're talking about today, B1, B2, and C1, are different stages on the path to fluency. Think of them like stepping stones that guide you from being able to have simple conversations, B1, to handling more complex topics, B2, and eventually to speaking English confidently and fluently, C1. As you listen to this podcast, I'll break down each level for you. I'll give you tips and examples that make it easy to understand where you are right now and where you can go next in your English learning. Remember, learning is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to your goal. As the Chinese proverb says, learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. Whether you're just getting started or you're already well on your way, you're making progress that will stay with you forever. And to help you improve even more, I've uploaded videos on my YouTube channel, where I explain different skills that will help you move from one level to the next. These videos are designed to make learning easier for you, so make sure to check them out if you want more tips. Understanding B1 level. Now that we know what the levels are, let's talk about the first one, B1 level. B1 is called Intermediate English, which means you're not a beginner anymore. You've learned the basics, and now you can understand and communicate in everyday situations. At this level, you can do things like having basic conversations, understanding simple texts, and writing short notes or emails. So, what exactly can you do at B1 level? Let's break it down. Speaking. At B1, you can have conversations about familiar topics like family, hobbies, or work. You can ask and answer questions, and you can share your opinion in a simple way. For example, you could talk to someone about your favorite book or ask for directions in a city. Listening. You can understand the main points when people speak clearly and slowly. If someone talks about their weekend, you'll know what they're saying, even if you miss a few words. This is really useful when watching videos, listening to podcasts, or having everyday conversations. Reading. At B1, you can read short, simple texts like articles, emails, or social media posts. You may not understand every word, but you can get the general idea. You can also read instructions, menus, or basic stories without too much trouble. Writing. You can write short notes or messages at B1. For example, you could write a quick email to a friend or a message on a website. You're able to express yourself, even if your sentences are simple. Let's imagine a situation. You're traveling to a new city. At B1, You can ask for directions, order food at a restaurant, and talk about your travel plans with other people. You can also read signs, maps, or simple guides to help you explore the city. You're able to communicate in English, but it's still in a straightforward way. Now, when it comes to reading, one technique that's really helpful at the B1 level is called skimming. Skimming means reading quickly to find the main idea of a text without focusing on every single word. For example, if you're reading an article about a new movie, you can skim through it to understand what the movie is about without getting stuck on difficult words. This helps you read faster and focus on the important points. As you keep learning, practicing skimming will make it easier to handle longer texts. It's a great way to build confidence and improve your reading skills. So, what do you think? Does this sound like your level? If you feel like you can do most of these things but still want to improve, you're probably at B1. But don't worry. Learning is a journey, and there's always room to grow. Feel free to comment below if you think you're at the B1 level and want tips to improve. I've also uploaded videos on my channel that will help you practice and get better at each of these skills. And go check them out and start improving today. In the next chapter, we'll talk about the next step in your English journey, B2 level. Let's see how far you can go. Stepping up to B2 level. Now that you know about B1, it's time to take a big step forward to B2 level, which is called Upper Intermediate English. At this level, you're no longer just getting by in English. You're starting to use the language more confidently and naturally. B2 is an exciting stage because it opens up so many new possibilities for you in daily life, work, or even studying. Let's dive into what B2 level looks like. Speaking. At B2, you can have deeper conversations. You're able to talk about a wider range of topics, such as news, work, hobbies, or even more complex issues like culture or technology. You can express your opinions, agree or disagree politely, and explain your thoughts in more detail. For example, if someone asks you about a movie, you can talk not just about what happens in the movie, but also what you liked or didn't like and why. Listening. At this level, you can understand more detailed speech, even if it's a bit fast or complicated. You can follow conversations in movies or podcasts, especially if the topic is something you know about. For example, you could listen to a radio show about health or technology and understand the main ideas and details. Reading. B2 level means you can read more complicated texts, such as news articles, blog posts, or longer stories. You can understand not just the basic meaning, but also the opinions and feelings behind the words. You'll still find some difficult words, but you can guess their meaning from the context. You can also read for both enjoyment and learning, making reading an even more powerful tool. Writing. You can write longer and more detailed texts at B2. For example, you can write essays, reports, or emails where you explain your ideas or give detailed information. Your writing doesn't need to be perfect, but it's clear and well organized, and it gets your message across. So, why is B2 level important in real life? Jobs. Many jobs require a B2 level of English, especially if you're working in international companies or need to communicate with clients in English. At B2, you can handle meetings, phone calls, or emails with more confidence. Studying. If you're thinking about studying abroad or taking an English exam, B2 is often the minimum level needed for courses or universities. It shows that you can understand lectures, take notes, and write assignments in English. Communication. At B2, you're able to have meaningful conversations with native speakers. You're not just surviving in English. You're actually contributing to conversations, sharing your opinions, and understanding different points of view. Now let's talk about a useful reading technique at the B2 level: scanning. Scanning is when you read quickly to find specific information. For example, if you're reading an article about the weather, you might scan it to find out the temperature or the forecast for the weekend. You don't need to read every word, just focus on what you're looking for. This technique is great for improving your reading speed and getting better at finding important information in texts. It's especially useful when you're reading news articles, studying for exams, or even searching for something specific in a long email. If you think you're close to the B2 level or aiming to get there, I have videos on my YouTube channel that can help you practice these skills. Whether it's improving your speaking, listening, reading, or writing, these videos are designed to help you get to the next level faster and with more confidence. So do you feel like you're ready to step up to B2? Comment below and let me know how you feel about your progress and what skills you'd like to work on. Reaching C1 level. We've now reached C1 level, also known as Advanced English. At this stage, you're almost fluent. C1 is where English really starts to feel natural. You don't just understand English, you can use it in complex situations, discuss deeper ideas, and handle difficult conversations. This is the level where English becomes a powerful tool for expressing yourself in nearly any situation. So what makes C1 such an exciting and challenging level? At the C1 level, you can speaking. Have detailed and confident conversations on almost any topic. You're able to discuss abstract ideas like culture, philosophy, or technology, and share opinions on complex issues. Okay, Connor has provided a very comprehensive and encouraging guide to English language learning levels and reading techniques. The structure is clear and the advice is practical. Here's the text with improved punctuation. For example, you could talk about a novel you just read, explaining the themes, characters, and what you thought about the ending. You can also give presentations or explain technical information clearly. Listening. You can understand fast, native-level speech, even when people speak in different accents. At C1, you can follow TV shows, podcasts, or even debates on difficult topics. You don't just understand the words. You can catch the deeper meaning behind what people say, including jokes or cultural references. Reading. This is where C1 becomes a challenge for many learners. You can read long, complex texts such as novels, research papers, or academic articles. At this level, you're not just reading for basic information. You're able to analyze the text, understand implied meanings, and grasp the author's intentions. For example, you could read a piece of literature and understand the symbolism and emotions the author is conveying. Writing. At C1, you can write long, well-structured texts like essays, reports, or even creative stories. You can argue your points clearly, explain difficult concepts, and even play with language to create different effects. Your writing at this stage is detailed, organized, and uses a wide range of vocabulary. So what makes C1 difficult? It's not just about using English for everyday things anymore. It's about using it to think and communicate complex ideas. You'll be dealing with longer texts that require deeper understanding. You'll also have to talk and write about more abstract subjects where the meaning might not always be clear. For example, let's say you're discussing a topic like climate change. At C1, you're not just talking about the basic facts. You can dive into the scientific reasons behind it, share your opinion on the solutions, and even talk about the challenges of getting people to act. You can explain complex ideas in a clear and structured way. And when it comes to reading at C1, a really important technique to master is reading for detail and understanding context. This means you're not just reading for the main ideas, like we talked about in B1 or B2, but paying close attention to every part of the text. You'll be looking at how the writer uses certain words, why they use certain examples, and what message they're trying to convey. For example, when reading a novel, you might notice how the writer uses certain descriptions to show a character's feelings without saying it directly. Or when reading an article, you might analyze how the writer argues their point, looking at the examples they use and the way they structure their argument. This deep level of reading will help you better understand complex texts and communicate your own ideas more effectively. As B.B. King once said, "The beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you." Once you've reached C1, you'll have an incredible level of English that will stay with you forever. Whether it's for your career, your studies, or just for your personal growth, the skills you've gained will open up new opportunities. If you think you're on your way to C1, or if you want to aim for this level, I have videos on my YouTube channel that can help you reach it. From reading more complex texts to improving your speaking and listening, these videos will guide you through the steps you need to take. So, do you think you're ready to reach C1? Comment below if you're excited to take on the challenge and let me know what you want to improve most. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the essential reading techniques that can help you at any level, from B1 to C1. Ready to unlock the secrets of better reading? Let's find out. Mastering reading techniques. Now that we've explored B1, B2, and C1 levels, it's time to dive into something that can help you at every stage of your English learning journey. Reading techniques. Reading is one of the best ways to improve your English, and by mastering a few key techniques, you can make reading easier and more enjoyable, no matter what level you're at. Let's go over the 4 essential reading techniques: skimming, scanning, reading for detail, and guessing meaning from context. Skimming. Skimming is when you read quickly to get the main idea of a text. You're not focusing on every word. Instead, you're looking for the big picture. This technique is perfect for when you need to decide whether a text is useful or interesting, or when you're trying to get an overview of the content. At the B1 level, skimming is really helpful when reading simple texts like blog posts or short news articles. You can quickly figure out what the article is about without getting stuck on every word. As you move to B2, you can start skimming more complex texts like longer articles or reports. And at C1, you'll be skimming even more advanced materials like academic papers or in-depth articles. Scanning. Scanning is all about finding specific information quickly. Imagine you're looking through a text to find a phone number or a date. You don't need to read every word. You're just searching for the detail you need. Scanning is especially useful when reading instructions, forms, or even websites. At the B1 level, you might scan a menu to find your favorite dish or a train schedule to check departure times. At B2, Scanning becomes helpful when you're reading longer texts like an email where you're looking for key details. And at C1, scanning can help you pick out technical terms or important points in a dense, complex text. Reading for detail. When you're reading for detail, you're not just looking for the main idea. You're focusing on every part of the text to understand it deeply. This is essential for reading books, studying, or when the details really matter. At the B1 level, you might read a short story and focus on the key events. At B2, you can start to focus on more detailed writing like news articles or essays. And at C1, you'll be reading longer, more complicated texts, paying attention to every word and understanding all the details, including implied meanings or hidden messages. Guessing. Meaning. From context. One of the most powerful techniques at any level is guessing the meaning of words from context. This means you don't have to stop and look up every new word you see. Instead, you use the words and sentences around it to guess what it means. For example, if you see a word you don't know in a sentence, the words before and after it can give you clues. At B1, you'll start to guess simple words when reading stories or articles. As you progress to B2, you'll use this skill more and more with longer and harder texts. And at C1, this becomes an essential tool when reading advanced materials, where you'll find many unfamiliar words, but won't need to look up each one. Practicing reading at every level here are some tips for practicing these techniques at different levels. B1. Start with simple texts like short stories, beginner books, or easy articles. Try skimming to get the main idea, then scan for specific information. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. Use the context to guess the meaning. B2. Challenge yourself with more complex texts like newspapers, blogs, or nonfiction books. Skim the text first to get an idea of the main topic, then scan for important details. Practice reading for detail by taking notes on what you learn. C1. At this level, you can tackle longer texts like novels, research articles, or academic papers. Use skimming to understand the big picture, then read in detail to catch the finer points. You'll find that guessing the meaning of unknown words becomes second nature as you use context clues to understand more difficult language. As you practice these techniques, don't forget that reading should be enjoyable. As George R.R. Martin once said, "A reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one." Every book, article, or story you read is a chance to explore a new world, learn something new, and improve your English. On my YouTube channel, 24/7 English, I've created videos that go over these reading techniques in detail. These videos are perfect for practicing skimming, scanning, and reading for detail at any level from B1 to C1. Be sure to check them out if you want more tips and examples. What reading technique do you think will help you the most? Comment below and let me know, and I'll give you some personalized tips to practice. In the next chapter, we'll wrap up by talking about how to continue improving your English and moving to higher levels. Ready to take your English to the next level? Let's go. Your path to English fluency. As we come to the final chapter of our journey, it's time to look back on what we've learned and think about where you are on your path to English fluency. Whether you're at B1, B2, or C1, understanding your level is the key to moving forward and becoming even better at English. Recap of B1, B2, and C1 levels. Let's quickly review the different levels we've covered. B1 level. At this intermediate level, you can handle basic conversations, read simple texts, and write short notes or messages. You can get by in everyday English situations, but you still need to improve your fluency and confidence. B2 level. When you reach B2, you're moving to upper intermediate English. You can talk about more complex topics, read longer texts, and express your ideas more clearly. B2 is where English starts to feel more natural and useful in real-life situations like work or study. C1 level. At C1, you're at an advanced stage. You're able to read challenging texts, discuss deeper ideas, and express yourself fluently in both writing and speaking. C1 is the level where English becomes a tool for understanding the world in greater depth, and it's also the level where you feel almost fluent. To figure out where you are, think about how comfortable you feel with speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Are you confident in everyday conversations but struggle with more complex ideas? Do you enjoy reading books but find technical texts difficult? Reflect on your strengths and areas where you need more practice. Keep practicing and improving. No matter your current level, the best way to improve is through consistent practice. Here are some easy ways to keep learning and get better every day. Reading books. Reading is one of the most powerful ways to improve your English. It helps expand your vocabulary, improve your understanding of grammar, and sharpen your reading skills. Whether you enjoy novels, articles, or blogs, make reading a regular habit. Watching videos. Videos are a great way to improve your listening and speaking skills. My YouTube channel, Unlocking, has a variety of videos for all levels, from B1 to C1. These videos can help you with pronunciation, grammar, and everyday English conversations. Daily practice. Practicing a little every day goes a long way. It doesn't have to be long or difficult. Even writing a short journal entry, reading a news article, or having a quick conversation in English can make a big difference. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Remember, as Dr. Seuss wisely said, the more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Every time you read, watch, or practice, you're expanding your knowledge and unlocking new opportunities. Keep pushing yourself, and you'll continue to grow. Share your level and experience. I'd love to hear from you. What level do you think you're at right now? How do you feel about your reading, writing, or speaking skills? Please share your experience in the comments. Whether you're just starting or already at an advanced level, I'm here to help you on your journey. By sharing your progress, you can also inspire others to keep learning and improving. Together, we can create a community of English learners who support and motivate each other. Final words of motivation. Reaching fluency in English is not something that happens overnight, but with patience and practice, it will happen. Every step you take brings you closer to mastering the language, and the more you practice, the easier it will become. So, let's keep learning together. If you found this podcast helpful, don't forget to check out the other videos on my YouTube channel. I have videos on grammar, vocabulary, and reading techniques to help you at every step of your learning journey. And always remember, let's keep learning together and unlock your English potential. You're capable of reaching higher levels, and with the right attitude and effort, you'll achieve your goals. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing how far you'll go.